Let me speak to you plainly, just like I would to one of my longtime patients. If you're over 60 and still starting your morning with a handful of vitamins, thinking you're doing something good for your health, you need to hear this. One of those pills might be quietly stealing your energy, raising your blood pressure, and draining the strength from your most intimate moments. And the worst part? Is probably the one labeled multivitamin for seniors. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, and after more than 30 years in men's health and longevity medicine, I've learned something that most people don't want to hear. It's not always what you need to add, it's what you need to stop. Because here's the truth no supplement commercial will tell you. After 60, your body processes vitamins differently. What helped you in your 40s may harm you now, not because vitamins are bad, but because the wrong forms, the wrong combinations, and the wrong doses can quietly burden your liver, clog your circulation, suppress key hormones, and leave you wondering, why do I feel more tired now when I'm doing everything right? But here's the good news, and it's powerful. Once you understand which 4 common vitamins may be sabotaging your health and which 4 to replace them with, everything changes. Not just your energy, not just your clarity, but your vitality, your confidence, even your connection with your partner. And I tell you this up front, one of the worst offenders is sitting in almost every men over 60 multivitamin on the shelf right now. If you've ever felt like your body's fading when you've been trying so hard to take care of it, you need to hear this. Let's begin with the one vitamin that might be quietly lowering your circulation and raising your cancer risk.
1. Synthetic vitamin E, the imitation that quietly wears you down. I'll never forget a man who came into my clinic at 68. Tall, soft-spoken, the kind of man who's carried responsibility his whole life. He sat across from me and asked, "Doc, is this just age? I'm tired, my blood pressure's up, and in the bedroom, nothing." He ate well, walked every morning. He was doing everything right, but when I looked at his supplement list, one thing jumped out. DL-alpha tocopherol, synthetic vitamin E, right at the top of his multivitamin. My heart sank. Here's why that's a problem. Vitamin E is essential. It protects your heart, immune system, even your sexual health. But not all vitamin E is created equal. The natural kind, from almonds, sunflower seeds, spinach, comes as mixed tocopherols and tocotrienols. That's what your body recognizes. But DL-alpha tocopherol, that's the synthetic kind, lab-made, cheap, and common in many senior multivitamins. The DL is your red flag. It means your body barely recognizes it. Worse, synthetic vitamin E can actually block the absorption of natural vitamin E, acting like an imposter in your cells. And it gets even more serious. A major study from the Journal of the National Cancer Institute found that men taking synthetic vitamin E had a higher risk of prostate cancer. Let that sink in. A vitamin sold to protect your health might be quietly raising your cancer risk. It also disrupts your antioxidant balance, causing more oxidative stress, and that leads to stiffened arteries, weaker blood flow, and declining erections, even if your testosterone looks normal. I've seen it firsthand, again and again. What to do instead? You still need vitamin E, but you need the natural form. Look for mixed tocopherols and tocotrienols. Avoid anything that says DL-alpha. These natural forms protect your arteries, skin, nerves, and yes, support real, lasting sexual health. The outcome? We removed his synthetic multivitamin, replaced it with a plant-based formula rich in real vitamin E, and made a few tweaks to his diet. 2 weeks later, I got an email. "Doc, I finally feel like me again." That's what happens when you stop feeding your body what it can't use and start giving it what it actually needs. And this, it's just the beginning. Because there's another common vitamin, often sold for immune support, that could be silently weakening your bones and blocking the very hormone that fuels your drive as a man. Let's talk about that next.
2. Synthetic vitamin A, Retinyl Palmitate, the bone-weakening immune booster. Not long ago, I sat across from a 72-year-old retired school principal. Sharp, proud, always on top of her health. But something had changed. Her joints ached, her balance was off, and one afternoon while gardening, she slipped and fractured her wrist. It wasn't a major fall, but at her age, a light fall shouldn't have caused a break. When I reviewed her supplements, I saw it right away. Retinyl Palmitate, a synthetic form of vitamin A in high doses. It was hidden in her daily multivitamin and her immune chewables. She had no idea it could be harmful, and sadly, most seniors don't. Why retinyl palmitate is risky after 60? Retinyl palmitate is a fat-soluble, lab-made version of vitamin A. Your body stores it in the liver, and that's the problem. As we age, the liver slows down. So instead of clearing out the extra vitamin A, it accumulates quietly, building up over time. That toxic buildup leads to weakened bone density, higher risk of fractures, especially in women, interference with vitamin D, the hormone that supports testosterone, immunity, and energy in older adults. That's a triple hit to strength, stability, and hormonal health. The immune illusion. Synthetic vitamin A is often slipped into immune support products, and while the intention is good, the risk is real, especially for adults over 60. The irony? The very supplement she took to stay strong was quietly weakening her bones and draining her vitality. A smarter, safer alternative: beta-carotene. Thankfully, nature gives us a better option. Beta-carotene, a plant-based provitamin A found in carrots, sweet potatoes, spinach, and leafy greens. Unlike synthetic A, your body only converts beta-carotene into vitamin A when it needs to. No overload, no toxicity, no damage to your bones or hormones. Her turning point. We made 2 simple changes. 1, replaced her synthetic multivitamin with a plant-based formula using beta-carotene. And 2, shifted her diet toward orange veggies and leafy greens. Within a few weeks, she felt more stable. She said her sleep improved, her energy felt more grounded, and her neck's bone scan showed no further loss. She looked at me and said, "I didn't know one small change could matter that much." And I told her, that's the point. It always does. Synthetic vitamin A isn't evil, but after 60, it becomes a poor fit for the body's slower metabolism and shifting storage patterns. And when it interferes with your bones, your hormones, and your long-term strength, that's not just a supplement problem. That's a quality of life problem. And sadly, it's not the only one. Because there's another nutrient, a common B vitamin you've probably seen in energy formulas that's supposed to help, but might actually be overheating your system, stressing your liver, and quietly weakening your erections. Let's uncover that next.
3. High-dose niacin, vitamin B3, the heart helper that overheats and drains you. Let me tell you about Joe. He was 63, a former construction foreman, still solid, still sharp, but clearly worn out. He sat down and said, "Doc, I keep getting these strange flushes. My face burns up, my heart races, and afterward I feel totally drained. Then after a pause, he said, "And in the bedroom, I've lost that edge." His heart was fine. Labs were normal, but something wasn't adding up. So I asked the same question I always ask when things don't make sense. Bring in your supplements. And there it was, front and center. 1,000 milligrams of niacin, bright red capsule, every morning. What's the problem? Niacin, vitamin B3, can be helpful in small doses. It supports energy, cholesterol, and brain health. But once you cross 500 milligrams daily, especially after 60, it can hit hard. High-dose niacin causes flushing and overheating from rapid blood vessel dilation, liver stress, and elevated enzymes. Reduced nitric oxide, which means weaker blood flow to the places men care about most. In short, Joe wasn't just getting flushed, he was being overloaded every single morning. And that's not all. High doses of niacin can also disrupt testosterone production, trigger mood swings and sugar cravings, flatten your emotional energy, make you feel wired but tired, restless at night, foggy in the morning. Many men think this is just getting older, but it might be your supplements, not your age. What's the fix? If you need B3 support, stick with 50 to 100 milligrams per day. Choose a balanced B complex for proper ratios. Or try niacinamide, a gentler, non-flushing form that supports the brain and nerves without the burnout. Joe's turnaround. We pulled the megadose niacin, replaced it with a B complex that had 100 milligrams of B3, added magnesium at night for deeper sleep. 3 weeks later, Joe walked in smiling. "Doc, I'm sleeping again. No more flushes, and let's just say things are working better." Then he grinned and said, "It's like someone flipped the power back on." That's what happens when you remove the wrong input and let the body breathe again. But we're not done, because there's one more supplement found in nearly every men's 50-plus multivitamin that can silently damage your heart, your brain, and your sexual health. And ironically, it's the one that's always marketed as essential: iron. Let's talk about that next.
4. Iron, the hidden threat most older men should avoid. Let me tell you about Robert. He was 74, a retired engineer, sharp-minded and active. On paper, he looked healthy, but when he sat down across from me, he said, "Doc, I don't feel sick. I just feel heavy, like I'm dragging around a body that isn't mine." He wasn't talking about weight. He meant a deep fatigue, the kind a nap doesn't fix. His hands and feet were cold. His mood was low. His desire, both physical and emotional, had gone quiet. He was eating well, exercising, and taking a premium men's 65-plus multivitamin. And that's where the issue came into focus. Right there on the label, 18 milligrams of iron. Let's get something straight. Iron is essential, but only if you're deficient. For most men over 60 and postmenopausal women, too, extra iron is not only unnecessary, it can be harmful. Why? Because unlike water-soluble vitamins, iron doesn't flush out. It builds up, especially in men who don't lose blood like women do through monthly cycles. That iron accumulation creates oxidative stress, organ inflammation, especially in the liver, heart, and prostate, and circulatory strain. What does that mean for your life? Thicker blood, stiffer arteries, slower oxygen delivery,
And yes, weakens sexual function and lower stamina. All of this can happen quietly, even while you think you're doing the right thing. Robert's wake-up call. He had no idea. No one had told him that his heart-healthy senior formula might be choking his circulation and dulling his energy. But I've seen it more times than I can count. Multivitamins marketed to men over 60 that still include iron by default. What you should do instead. 1. Check your supplement label. If it has iron and you're not iron deficient, stop taking it. 2. Choose an iron-free multivitamin clearly marked for men 60+. 3. Focus on gentle food-based iron sources like leafy greens, lentils, or beets, not pills unless prescribed. 4. Ask for a ferritin test to check your iron stores. Many men are shocked to see they're already high. Robert's turnaround. We cut the iron, simplified his supplement routine, and added circulation-friendly nutrients. Within weeks, he said his legs felt lighter, his hands warmed up, his sleep deepened, and that quiet inner spark, it came back. He told me, "It's like someone turned the volume back up on my body." And that's what happens when you stop feeding your system what it doesn't need and start giving it what it does. So now you've seen the 4 vitamins to stop after 60. 1. Synthetic vitamin E interferes with blood flow, raises cancer risk. 2. Synthetic vitamin A weakens bones, blocks vitamin D. 3. High-dose niacin overheats the body, stresses the liver. 4. Iron accumulates, thickens blood, harms circulation and performance. But identifying what to stop is only half the story. Now it's time to shift to the 4 essential nutrients I recommend to nearly every senior patient. The ones that support your circulation, energy, sleep, and sexual health gently, safely, and effectively. Let's begin with the one that acts as the foundation for everything else.
5. Vitamin D3 plus K2 MK7, the foundation for strength, flow, and hormonal vitality. Many men over 60 tell me, "Doc, I'm not trying to be 25. I just want to feel like myself again, clearer, stronger, more alive." And almost every time, we start with a simple but powerful combo. Vitamin D3 plus vitamin K2 MK7. You've probably heard of D3, but after 60, it does much more than support bones. It acts like a master switch, helping regulate hormones, including testosterone, immune strength, mood and sleep, blood vessel flexibility, vital for circulation and bedroom performance. But here's what most people miss. D3 needs K2 to work safely. D3 helps absorb calcium, but without K2, calcium can build up in arteries, joints, and the prostate, doing more harm than good. K2, especially MK7, tells calcium where to go, into bones and teeth, not into your blood vessels. What this combo supports. Together, they help strengthen bones, keep arteries soft, improve circulation, support hormone health and vitality. A real patient story. One of my patients, 67 years old, came in with fatigue, stiffness, and what he called a flat, faded feeling. His vitamin D levels were near 0. We started him on 4,000 IU D3 plus 120 micrograms K2 MK7 daily. 3 weeks later, his legs felt lighter, energy returned, and he told me, "I didn't realize how much I'd lost until I started getting it back."
How to take it right. D3, 2,000 to 5,000 IU daily. K2, MK7, 100 to 200 micrograms daily. Take with fat, like eggs, nuts, avocado. Ask your doctor for a 25 OHD blood test to check levels. This isn't hype, it's biology. D3 and K2 together rebuild the foundation of strength, circulation, and hormonal balance. But this is just the first layer, because while this combo supports structure, the next nutrient restores calm, sleep, and intimacy, especially after 60. Let's talk about the most calming, underused mineral in aging men.
6. Magnesium Glycinate, the calm restorer your body has been begging for. After decades of working with older adults, I've realized something powerful. Sometimes it's not energy you're missing, it's the ability to relax. Tight muscles, restless sleep, stiff blood vessels. This quiet tension weighs down your system, and magnesium, especially magnesium glycinate, is often the missing piece. Why magnesium matters after 60? Magnesium powers over 300 functions in the body and plays a key role in regulating blood pressure, relaxing muscles and arteries, deepening sleep, supporting mood, nerve function, and digestion. But most older adults are chronically low, often without knowing it. Why? Medications like diuretics, antacids, and BP pills drain it. Aging guts absorb it less, and cheap forms like magnesium oxide don't absorb well and upset the stomach. Why glycinate is different? Magnesium glycinate is gentle on digestion, easily absorbed, calms the nervous system, bound with glycine, an amino acid that promotes deep, restorative sleep. A story that stuck with me. One of my patients, a 73-year-old retired Army medic, came in with leg cramps, restless sleep, anxiety, and a fading interest in life. His magnesium, barely detectable. We started him on 400 milligrams magnesium glycinate before bed. Within a week, he was sleeping through the night. By the third week, he looked me in the eye and said, "Doc, I feel like my body finally exhaled." And yes, circulation and performance improved too. How to use it? Dose, 200 to 400 milligrams daily, best in the evening. Form, look for magnesium glycinate or biglycinate chelate. Tip, can split dose AM/PM, but night use helps sleep most. Magnesium isn't just a sleep aid. It relaxes your arteries, improves blood flow, and helps quiet the system so your energy can rise again. But once calm is restored, you need power. The cellular spark that fuels your brain, heart, and muscles. And that's where the next nutrient comes in. 7. CoQ10, ubiquinol, the spark plug for your heart, brain, and bedroom. A 68-year-old man once sat across from me, polite, soft-spoken, but clearly running on empty. "Doc, I eat well, I walk every day, but it's like my battery never fully charges." He wasn't sick, he wasn't depressed, but the spark was gone. I asked one question, "Are you on a statin?" He nodded, had been for 10 years, and that's when I knew what was missing. Coenzyme Q10. Why CoQ10 matters after 60. CoQ10 is what your body uses to create ATP, the energy that fuels every cell. It's especially concentrated in the heart, brain, and muscles, the organs that demand the most power. But here's the kicker. CoQ10 production drops after age 40 or 50, and statins deplete it even faster. That's why so many older adults notice fatigue, brain fog, and lower sexual performance. They think it's aging, but often it's a fixable nutrient deficiency. Ubiquinol versus ubiquinone. Most supplements use ubiquinone, the inactive form that older bodies struggle to convert. What you want is ubiquinol, the active, ready-to-use form your body can absorb immediately. This is especially important if you're over 60 or on a statin. What happened with my patient? We started him on 200 milligrams of ubiquinol daily, taken with lunch. 3 weeks later, he said, "Doc, I wake up ready. My walks are longer. And let's just say my wife noticed too." That's not hype. That's what happens when you restore energy at the cellular level. How to take it right? Form. Always choose ubiquinol, not ubiquinone. Dose, 100 to 200 milligrams per day. With food, take with a meal containing healthy fat for best absorption. If you're on statins, this is non-negotiable. CoQ10 won't give you a rush, but it rebuilds stamina from within for your heart, your brain, and your most personal moments. And now there's one final nutrient to bring it all together. Not for energy or structure, but for flexibility, balance, and emotional connection. Let's talk about that next.
8. Omega-3 fatty acids, the anti-inflammatory oil that restores flow, mood, and intimacy. Let me tell you about Walter, 72, retired firefighter. Tough as nails, but when he walked into my office, he looked tired. "Doc, I'm not sick, just stiff, in my joints, in my mind, even with my wife." That word, stiff, said everything. Because for men over 60, stiffness often means one thing: chronic inflammation. And when I hear that, I reach for one of the most reliable tools in the aging toolkit: omega-3 fatty acids. Why omega-3s matter more after 60. EPA and DHA, the active forms of omega-3, are natural anti-inflammatories. And after 60, inflammation doesn't scream, it whispers. Joints ache, thoughts slow, mood dips, blood thickens, and connection, physical, emotional, fades. These aren't just aging, they're the burn of hidden inflammation, and omega-3s are the oil that cools the fire. What omega-3s actually do: loosen blood vessels, lower triglycerides, ease brain fog, reduce plaque buildup, improve testosterone balance and blood flow. Better flow equals better everything. Walter's turnaround. We started him on 1,200 milligrams EPA plus DHA daily from clean, high-quality fish oil. 3 weeks later, he walked straighter, smiled wider. "Doc, my knees are quiet, I'm sleeping better, and my wife and I are laughing again." It wasn't magic. It was circulation, calm, and connection restored. How to use it right. Form: fish oil or krill oil, rich in EPA and DHA. Dose: at least 1,000 milligrams combined EPA and DHA. Source: wild-caught, third-party tested. Timing: take with food to boost absorption and avoid fishy burps. And yes, this works beautifully for women too, supporting joints, brain, memory, and emotional balance through every phase of aging. Bringing it all together.
So here they are, the 4 powerhouse nutrients I recommend to nearly every patient over 60.
1. Vitamin D3 plus K2 for strength, hormones, and blood flow. 2. Magnesium Glycinate for sleep, mood, and circulation. 3. CoQ10 or ubiquinol for energy, stamina, and heart health. 4. Omega-3s for inflammation, flexibility, and intimacy. These aren't trends. They're what your aging body truly craves. But now comes the big question. Doc, when will I feel the difference? Let me walk you through that.
What to expect in 7, 14, and 30 days. Let's be real. No supplement flips a switch overnight. But when you give your body the right support, it responds faster than most people think. Here's how it usually unfolds in my clinic. Day 1 to 7. The quiet shift begins. Most people don't even notice it first, but something subtle starts happening. You sleep a little deeper, your morning stiffness eases, your mind feels a bit less foggy. That heaviness in your legs or chest lightens. Inside, magnesium is calming your nerves. D3 and K2 are working on your circulation. Omega-3s begin to cool the silent inflammation. It's not dramatic, but it's real. Day 8 to 14. Energy, clarity, and confidence return. By the second week, most people start saying, I'm waking up with more energy. I feel more present. My body feels lighter. Blood flow improves, sleep becomes restorative, mood stabilizes. You may even notice fewer sugar cravings or afternoon crashes. Men often report renewed confidence, not just mentally, but physically. Day 15 to 30. Your body finds its rhythm again. This is where the magic happens. Joints feel smoother. Your walk gets stronger. Intimacy and drive return. You smile more, complain less, and feel more like you. Even your labs may begin to shift. Lower blood pressure, better triglycerides, higher testosterone, improved vitamin D levels. One man told me, Doc, I didn't realize how much I'd lost until I started feeling like myself again. Final thought. This isn't about turning back time. It's about getting back to yourself, the version that thinks clearer, moves freer, and connects deeper. And that happens when you stop draining your body with the wrong supplements and start nourishing it with the right ones. The next step? Build this into your daily routine. Don't wait for a crisis. Prevention is power. And your second prime might just be ahead of you.
Final message. This is not the end. It's the beginning. If you've made it this far, let me say this from the heart. You are not broken. You are not too old. And you are not done. What most people call aging is often just a series of deficiencies, imbalances, and missed signals, things your body is whispering long before it ever shouts. But here's the good news. You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to make better choices, small, powerful shifts, like removing the wrong supplements and feeding your cells what they've been begging for. Because I've seen it again and again. A man in his 70s sleeping deeply for the first time in years. A woman in her 60s rediscovering her energy and laughter. A couple in their 80s walking hand in hand again, not out of obligation, but out of joy. You can feel clear again. You can feel strong again. You can feel like yourself again. Not your younger self, but your wiser, more resilient, more grounded self. So don't settle, don't assume, and most of all, don't give up on your own vitality. Because the truth is, you're not fading. You're just getting started with better tools, better science, and a better understanding of what your body really needs now. So breathe deep, take your next step, and trust this simple truth. Your best years can still be ahead of you.